Well, it is the newest dating show putting one of the biggest relationship dilemmas to the test.
Here, you'll be dating and even committing without ever knowing how old your partner is.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I don't know if these guys are my grandpa's age.
But you don't know who the Spice Girls are?
I couldn't name one.
Best 3-minute date I've ever had.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the
You
mom
do?
part.
Do you have mommy issues?
If you're not as hot as my mom, I'm not gonna marry you.
Oh, okay, interesting. Netflix's Age of Attraction asks if love really is ageless or if a generational gap is too wide to overcome. Here to help us answer this age-old question is relationship counsellor Melissa Ferrari. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
All right, so why is it that people are often drawn to people who aren't the same age as them?
Well, sometimes some people like someone more mature because they're wise and can give them advice and guide them. Sometimes someone older wants someone younger because of their usefulness and their excitement. And for some people, they're even tired of dating in the same age pool. They've found, you know, a 30-year-old with a 30-year-old just doesn't work, or they don't find that the maturity's there. And so they may date up in that way as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And love is where you find it, I guess. There is a well-known guideline people use. Half your age plus 7. We've all been trying to do the maths this morning. But does that rule always equal success?
Look, it doesn't always equal success because there's so many factors that come into it around compatibility and values. But I think the younger you get, that's certainly not going to work, right? Because then it's getting way too young. Yeah. But it's like, you know, if you did a 40-year-old with a 27-year-old, that's not too bad. That could work. But I think that rule, today was the first I'd heard of it, interestingly enough. And it probably can work for some.
But yeah, I think, as you said, as you get older, it doesn't really work so much.
It doesn't.
But when you talk about, and this is the thing, when you're in a relationship, it changes as you get older. And so if you're in different stages, how do you manage that?
I think that there needs to be, again, you know, the same old relationship rule around open communication, checking in on each other's values and principles, you know, understanding that there's going to be differences. While there's an advantage of being with somebody older because they're wiser, they might be more wealthy, there might be more money, you've also got to understand there'll be other differences, like they may be, if there's a big gap, they might be a little bit slower than you. They're not going to get around as fast as you would like, you know. Even 50 plus, sometimes people can have trouble getting around, you know. It's being aware of those kind of differences. And the same old thing with relationship, you've got to take the good with the bad and weighing that up for yourself. It's such a self process, isn't it, around working out what I can and can't live with.
And the 50-plussers might not want to head to the nightclub with you. You might have to go to bed early.
Exactly.
Now, celebrities have somewhat normalised relationships with an age gap as one of the reasons. Is that why people sort of look at it and go, oh, it's okay for them?
Well, I think we're living in a world now with relationships that people are just trying so many different ways in terms of getting it right. And so age difference isn't the way it used to be. So I think it's more, I think celebrities always have a lot to do with things, right? But I also think that people really are trying to do things a little bit differently. And I'm noticing, because I'm talking to people dating, it is sometimes that they're tired, as I said before, of that age pool, and they want to try something different.
So what are some of the signs then to, you know, that maybe this age gap is a little too much?
Right, well, if you're starting to feel like a caretaker in a relationship of somebody that's a lot older, that may not suit you and over time could wear you out. So be aware of that. Parent-child dynamics, you know, if it's starting to really feel like one of you is the child, the other is the parent, that is not very romantic, so that probably won't work. And just noticing that if you are in different stages of life, that is really going to show up. And if it's too far apart, it's likely it won't work. Maybe in the beginning you may not notice, but over time, because over time is when we become our true selves, right? When we become more familiar, like family, we behave more like we did in our own family as time goes on. So a lot of this is about time as well, in terms of if you're going to make a decision about a big gap, you really need to know who you've got.
Okay, and also maybe just thinking about the person, not necessarily about the number?
Exactly. The number really doesn't matter. It's who you've got in that person is what's important.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much, Melissa.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.